Yes, welcome everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's January 6th, 2020. The show, as always, is presented by the Marijuana Times. Find us at marijuanatimes.org. A lot of great articles there. Click the video tab to find this show and more. marijuanatimes.org. Go check it out. Today, talking a lot about Illinois, pardoning of some cannabis convictions, also an update on how dispensaries are doing and the shortage problems and sales and all that. And talk a little bit about a USA Today post published today that talks about marijuana-induced psychosis as if it's an actual thing that's been definitively proven, and it is not. We'll talk about the article and the issue as well. All that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free with Natureside. Don't use harmful chemicals or ban pesticides on what you are growing. Be regulatory compliant in the state that you are growing, and all of these things are possible with Natureside. The power of Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of the show. Thank you, Natureside. It's first story by Julia Granowitz at marijuanatimes.org. Illinois ushers in 2020 by pardoning cannabis convictions. State officials are estimating there are about 116,000 convictions in the state involving 30 grams or less of marijuana that are now eligible for pardons. Governor J.B. Pritzker has taken advantage of another part of the new marijuana legalization law to pardon about 11,000 people for their marijuana convictions. He said, "We're ending a 50-year-long war on cannabis. We are restoring rights to many tens of thousands of Illinoisians. We are bringing regulation and safety to a previously unsafe and illegal market, and we are creating a new industry that puts equity at its very core." So the road toward pardoning convictions in Illinois is well underway. There's about 572,000 arrest records that involve between 30 and 500 grams of cannabis. Those people are eligible also to have their records expunged, but they will need to file a petition. Those under 30 grams are supposed to be done automatically in due course. And if you had any violent charges with your marijuana charges, you are not eligible for those expungements. Continuing with Illinois, because, well, there's just a lot going on in Illinois right now. Illinois marijuana dispensaries sold more than $10.8 million worth of recreational weed in the first 5 days of sales. Now some have halted recreational sales amid product shortages. Customers made more than 271,000 purchases in the first 5 days of sales. Now a handful of shops have halted recreational weed sales and plan to remain closed to the public for part of the week as they deal with product shortages. Last week, sales kicked off on Wednesday with nearly 3.2 million in sales, about 1.2 million on Sunday. By then, some dispensaries have stopped selling recreational weed altogether. For many of them, it is uncertain when sales will start again. Demand was huge, said Neil McQueenie, principal officer of Midway Dispensary near Midway Airport. "We knew we were going to run out. It was a matter of when, not if." So there are a lot of recreational stores in Illinois that are no longer selling. Hoping to get back on track when more supply becomes available. They're also supposed to be opening more places to sell recreational marijuana. 37 dispensaries started selling recreational weed last week. Existing medical shops were given the first entry into the industry, but last week the state concluded its first round of applications for 75 new dispensary licenses. Some Illinois dispensaries said they were having difficulty keeping enough weed in stock for medical marijuana patients before recreational sales began. Dispensaries instituted buying limits last week and limited hours for recreational sales. Keith McGinnis, principal officer of NewMed, said it didn't matter how much you had, you're going to run out. You can set limits, purchasing limits, but you're still going to run out. And this is a supply issue that's going to last for quite some time in Illinois, which is a shame, but it is what it is. I mean, the way these things are rolled out and the way they're restricted and kind of just, there's just no way that the supply is going to meet the demand. The demand's been there for a long time, and you can allow supply faster, which would be a good idea, but even then, there's going to be some shortages. But the restrictions of the supply and the time for licenses and things like that is going to keep shortages going and high prices going for quite some time to come in Illinois, as it did in many other places when they started recreational sales. Places like California and Massachusetts come to mind. This last story from USA Today. Here's the title. As marijuana-induced psychosis rises, parents say treatment for young people hard to find. Now, if you just read that title, which we've talked about this before, many people just share based on the title alone. One study showed almost 60% of people do that. The first part before the comma, as marijuana-induced psychosis rises. There's no question. There's no, is marijuana-induced psychosis rising? What is marijuana-induced psychosis? Is it a real thing? It's just a statement of fact laid there in the title, which is what most people go by. The first thing they see is a statement of fact. Now, that's fine for a story. Put statements of fact in the titles. The problem is that nowhere, and this is linked in the description of this video, this whole article, I suggest you go read the whole entire thing. Nowhere is that established in the article. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence of tragic stories of young people who were marijuana users who also had psychotic problems and mental problems. They ended up committing suicide, and that's awful. But I'm sure if you go through a lot of their lives and you get into a lot of anecdotal evidence, you can find that a lot of them also owned iPhones, or they also liked a certain genre of music or movie or something along those lines. And there's no connection made whatsoever in this article between these people using marijuana and dying. It's just considered a thing. It's established, and that's it. We don't have to question it. We don't have to talk about it. It's just a thing. Now we can move on from there. And they talk about, there's a lack of mental health places for young people or substance abuse recovery centers for young people, which very well may be the case. They provide statistics for that. They don't provide any statistics at all showing that any kind of psychosis is on the rise among young people, much less that's marijuana related. And it's all anecdotal evidence. The problems, with, they say there's not enough mental substance abuse programs in the nation that serves adolescents. That very well may be true. They said that it's about 25% of the number for adults, as federal data shows marijuana use soaring among high school students. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. In fact, high school students are the only age group that marijuana use is not soaring among. The older people get, the older age groups get, the more it soars. For people over 55, it's soaring so much. But numbers have been relatively stagnant for high school students and teenagers. So that's just an out-and-out lie. This is a horrific article. The person who did this, it's so badly done. It's so ill-researched. It's horrible. I'm sorry. There's sad stories in it, and he told some sad stories, and it is what it is. Tragic stories happen all the time. But to pretend that marijuana-induced psychosis is a thing, an established fact, and we're just going to work from there, that's dangerous. I'm not saying that there won't be problems down the line. I don't know. But I'm not the one that said, hey, marijuana-induced psychosis doesn't exist at all in my article headline. And then go from there not to address that at all in the 1,000-word article that I wrote. I'm not the one that made a statement of fact in the title and then did nothing to establish that fact anywhere in the article. Even one guy who's one of these anecdotal stories, he's not even convinced that marijuana was the problem. As many people point out, a lot of people with mental problems and a lot of angry young teenagers, a lot of them turn to marijuana for various reasons. It helps those problems, it's easily available, etc. But this pretending that there is a definitive established link between marijuana and mental illness and violence and psychosis when there is not one is dangerous. And it's a lie. It's a lie. Have you learned nothing from lying all these years about prohibition? Now, when you tell young people something, they don't trust you because they've been lied to so much. So I guess the answer to that is to lie more. I don't know. I don't think that'll work. But I guess we'll see. It remains to be seen. In any case, if you're going to lie in something like USA Today, well, I'll be here to talk about it. That's right. I'll be here to smack you down. Or something along those lines. Some other cool catchphrase. It's very clever, witty. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show. Cannabis News, we're here 5 days a week. Make sure you check out the Marijuana Times on YouTube and subscribe. Click the notification bell when you need to know when a new episode has dropped. You will know if you click that notification bell. We're also on Apple Podcasts, marijuanatimes.org as well. Thank you to NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.